Eric, a young black man, went to a McDonald's branch to get some fries after just finishing his shift at the local hardware store. His stomach was growling, and he was looking forward to a good meal. He walked into the McDonald's and approached the counter, where the cashier, a middle-aged woman named Linda, greeted him. "One cheeseburger and fries, please," Eric said politely. "Coming right up," Linda replied with a smile, and Eric took a seat near the window, waiting for his food. As the minutes passed, Eric noticed something odd. People who had arrived after him were getting their food before him. He glanced at the clock. 5 minutes had passed, then 10, and still no sign of his order. He looked around the diner. A group of teenagers was laughing and chatting, their food already on the table. Another man, a regular, had received his meal just moments after sitting down, but not Eric. Feeling frustrated, Eric stood up and walked toward the counter. "Excuse me, I've been waiting for a while now. Is my food coming?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Linda, the cashier, didn't look up. She just muttered, Yeah, it's coming. Just wait your turn." Eric was taken aback. He hadn't raised his voice or been rude, but Linda treated him as if he didn't matter. "I just don't understand why I've been waiting so long when others have already gotten their food," he said, his voice a little firmer now. Before Linda could reply, a voice from behind him interrupted. "You causing trouble here, boy?" It was Officer Jake Thompson, a local cop known for his strict ways, especially with the town's black residents. "I'm not causing trouble, officer," Eric replied, trying to stay calm. "I'm just trying to get my food. It's been a while, and I'm asking why it's taking so long." Thompson stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "You don't need to be disturbing the peace like this," he said. "If you don't quiet down, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Eric felt a surge of anger, but tried his best to control it. He had done nothing wrong, yet here was a cop ready to escalate the situation. "I'm not disturbing anything. I'm just asking about my order," he said. The tension in the air grew thick. Other diners looked on, some nervously sipping their drinks, others whispering among themselves. Everyone could see Eric was in the right, but no one spoke up. It was as if they were all afraid to get involved. Officer Thompson wasn't backing down, though. "I'm going to have to escort you out," he said, his voice cold and stern. Eric knew he had to stand his ground. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was only asking for an explanation. But before he could respond, a young voice cut through the tension. "Leave him alone." The voice belonged to a 12-year-old boy named Caleb, who was sitting at a table with his mother, Mayor Jenkins. Caleb had been watching the whole scene unfold, and something inside him told him that what was happening wasn't right. Thompson turned to face Caleb, an angry frown on his face. "And what do you think you're doing, kid? This is none of your business." But Caleb didn't back down. "He's not doing anything wrong. You can't just arrest him because you don't like the way he's asking for his food. He has every right to stand up for himself." The room fell silent, and people began watching Caleb, their eyes wide with surprise. Caleb was just a kid, but he wasn't afraid to speak out. Officer Thompson seemed taken aback for a moment, unsure of how to respond to such a bold challenge. But then his anger flared again. "You better watch your mouth, boy," he warned. Caleb stood up, his small frame seeming bigger in that moment. His voice was strong and unwavering. "You're not the law here. You're just a bully in a uniform." The words hung in the air like a heavy storm cloud. Eric watched, surprised by the bravery of the young boy. But Officer Thompson, unable to let his authority be questioned by a child, stepped forward and grabbed Caleb by the arm. "Now you've done it," Thompson growled. "You're coming with me, too." But before the cop could drag Caleb away, something unexpected happened. Mayor Jenkins, Caleb's mother, stood up from her seat. Her presence was commanding, and when she spoke, her voice was calm but filled with authority. "Officer Thompson, you will not lay a hand on my son," she said, stepping forward. "And you will not treat that young man like a criminal simply because he asked a question." The entire diner went quiet. The mayor's voice had a power that no one could ignore. Officer Thompson froze, his grip on Caleb loosening. "Mayor Jenkins, I didn't—" "You didn't?" she interrupted. "You didn't investigate the situation fairly. You didn't listen to what was actually happening here. You didn't think a black man deserved to be treated with respect. You are fired, Officer Thompson." The words felt like a slap to everyone in the room. No one expected that, least of all Thompson, whose face went pale as Mayor Jenkins pulled out her phone and made a call to the town council. The room remained silent as the reality of what had just happened began to sink in. Justice was swift. Officer Thompson, the bully who had tried to make an innocent man suffer, was about to face consequences. And Caleb, the young boy who had stood up for what was right, had just proven that even in a world filled with injustice, courage and truth could still change everything. In the next few days, the town was filled with talk of what had happened at McDonald's. Word spread quickly, and people who had been too scared to speak up realized that their silence had allowed injustice to flourish for far too long. Eric had become a hero in the eyes of many, and Caleb's bravery had sparked something inside the community of Augrey.